He has given several very useful questions, and I'm very sure that we have a very right authority to talk about it because, as Professor Yadav said, he has been studying the Indian political culture, Indian political system, its deficits and positive sides in a comparative manner for more than 3 decades with some distinction and recognition. So I'll leave many of them to Professor Yogendra ji. I take one question which was there by our friend from Hyderabad about Anna Hazareji's sense of discomfort with the idea to create a political party and enter into election process. And I take courage to respond to it, which is the most frequently asked questions, because I had the privilege of participating in that discussion of nearly 8 hours, and I'm sitting next to the man who moderated that discussion with due reverence to Sri Anna Hazare, and also addressed the press conference about the conclusion of the discussion which was held in Constitution Club under the moral leadership of Anna Hazare ji, Professor Yogendra. Anna ji has 3 questions which are perennial questions which create sense of hopelessness about parliamentary process and how to make it free of pollution. These are more challenges than questions for the present political generation or political leadership. First question was, when election takes place, those who get elected enter into power game and become uncontrolled of their constituency, of their movement, and he cited his own personal experience of Maharashtra politics, where from Radegaon Siddhi up to whole of Maharashtra, he had put some candidates in the past who had also become successful in MLA election and several more in block Pramukh election. And after that they became dissociated with Annaji and became part of the power blocks of Maharashtra politics. And he cited his reservation with due fear, which was related with the failure of 1977 experiment. And he said that if Sri Jayaprakash Narayan was unable to control the people elected under the banner of Janata Party from creating power fights, who am I? My capacity is much more limited. So that's one. That's about the present inclination of political elite to disconnect with principles and morality, and they become unaccountable to the voters. Second question was, even if you get 543 good people who will remain committed till they die to the cause and ideals of our movement, where is the money for undertaking the election campaign? Because election campaign has become very costly, and good money is available only in a small amount with a small peasant, worker, office babu, homemaker. You need millions, and probably Yogenji has studied it, so probably billions of rupees to undertake national election. So if you take bad money, then it will create bad politics. And there is not much good money. Potential of the ordinary people is not very encouraging. The third question was that suppose you get money or you don't need money. Ordinary people in the country are found to be voting more on non-political considerations, which look very problematic. I'm voting according to my caste or religion. I'm voting because my group leader has taken some money, and so there is so-called vote being purchased and sold, or this whole business of botli and sari and kambal and other things. Now, the answer from us was very simple, that Annaji, the record is really very disappointing of recent years, but there have been great elections which were fought by good people with good money and sometimes without money. And we gave the example of 1977, where emergency versus democracy was the issue. And people were contesting from jails, and they were winning with hundreds and thousands of votes without any caste or so-called communal or other cards. Then also Yogendra and others gave example of Telugu Desham victory, Assam Gan Parishad victory. Many elections have been fought without use or abuse of money, power, etc. Second thing was, we said that, yes, there is a possibility, but then people of India have become much more wise after the tragedy of 1977, and they have become much more educated, much more organized today because of your 2 years of conscious cultivation of political responsibility. And they will do the work of watchdog and accountability. And then the third question was that if we do not have trust in ordinary people's capacity of doing good voting, I think we are ignoring the potential of political wisdom among ordinary people, and we are thinking like middle class people that ordinary people are generally corruptible. You give them a bottle, you give them a blanket, you give them a television, and you can buy their vote. That's necessarily not true. 8 hours of discussion. But the bottom line was that Annaji did not disapprove of creating a party. What he said, if you remember very clearly, that yes, if Arvind Kejriwal takes on this minister Kapil Sibal in Delhi, who was a problem in solving the problem of Jan Lokpal bill, I will go and campaign for him. But I don't have confidence that there are many Arvind Kejriwals in the country today. And he's partly correct, but partly he's leaving the question open. He has agreed to campaign for Arvind Kejriwal and people like him. Secondly, he did not oppose the idea of creating a political party and entering election process. He only said that I cannot manage it. I cannot take responsibility for the people who will be fighting election, making compromises, and then drifting away from the commitment. But if you can do it, I have my good wishes, but our methodology will be different. I'll continue more of the same. That is hunger strike, awareness building, etc. But if you have courage and you have capacity and you can analyze it in a different way, go on. So there is a difference between approving it and disapproving it. He did not approve it, but he did not say that you are doing something wrong and you are doing something something unacceptable to me. He came to the point of even agreeing to campaign if Aam Aadmi Party is able to put up good candidates, and he named one example, and that was Arvind Kejriwal. The second question is about the financing of political parties. I have been very closely associated with a number of political projects right from 1967. Ideological parties, and I have the example of Samajwadi Party. They have run their party affairs with very small budget, unbelievably small budget. You cannot imagine the kind of condition in which these people who are out of power live. But I have also seen them getting converted into people who were unable to afford a taxi for the leader, into people who are only flying around in helicopters or chartered flights. Why? Because there was probability that this party will be part of the coalition at the center or in the province, and all of a sudden from nowhere, money, power will start flowing into your window and door. If you don't take it properly, then they'll give it to your supporters, and somehow, I mean, this was the case of Sri George Fernandes, that some guy was working as the agent of military supply, military hardware suppliers, and he was also treasurer of Sri George Fernandes' party. And George Fernandes did not know about it because he was a kurta pajama politician. But somebody was making money on the side. Same was case with Sri Morarji Desai and his political outfit. He was not making money, but Kanti Desai was working as lobbyist for a variety of companies. And this is a very sad situation because India is, particularly Indian middle class, is not investing in political process. It is something which has been learned by the Germans after great Nazi tragedy, that today in Germany, from right wing to left wing, all political parties who have some electoral presence are given money from the taxpayers' money to cultivate their ideology, do things openly and publicly and in an accountable manner. You also have example here. Election funding is provided by the state because investing in party building is as important as investing in dam building, a project of electricity generation, university, hospital. Parties are very important instrument because they become the channels of millions of people for conflict and conflict resolution democratically and peacefully. Unfortunately, we have stopped investing in party building. So it is all hidden or deferred investment. For 20 years, I work as a Communist Party or a Socialist Party or a Bharatiya Janata Party worker with semi-starved condition. The moment I become member of assembly or parliament, and if it so happens I become a minister, I get back to you with revenge. I make money left, right, and center. I start buying things, and I have the example of Madhu Koda. Madhu Koda was one-member party who became chief minister of Jharkhand, a province created out of the sacrifices of militant movements of Adivasis, the last man and woman of India. But Madhu Koda started buying oil wells, जिसके घर में पीने के पानी का कुआं नहीं था, उसने लाइबेरिया में और नाइजीरिया में तेल का कुआं खरीद लिया. And that was within a matter of 3 to 6 months. A Raja, no, D Raja. No, A Raja, D Raja. A Raja. वो बेचारा, उसका पिताजी जूता गांठते थे. वो मिनिस्टर बना. He was from Dalit house, the last Indian. और उसने कितना बड़ा खेल खेल दिया कुछ दिनों के अंदर. So, this is because of that very perverted system of what you call economics of Indian politics. And I think there are 4 more questions, including this financing paradox or hypocrisy, which Yogendra will be the fittest expert in the country to talk about.
Thank you, Anand bhai. On Annaji, I just wanted to add one thing. It is true that Anna, what he said and his public distancing has has been a setback. It has been a major setback. Many of our workers felt dejected. They still bemoan it. Yes, it would be great if Anna were to decide to support us. In a sense, it is a question which is very hard for Anand bhai and me to answer, because all we can do is to continue to do what the spirit of Anna Hazare would want us to do. Whether Anna Hazare, the man, approves of it or not is something we cannot quite control. In that sense, the very harsh questions that he has posed, the very sharp questions he has posed, I actually feel very good about it. I feel almost blessed that we have, it's like having a buzurg in your family who asks you questions which no one else dares ask you. And I have said, and I have actually written about it, to say that this is Anna's blessing in disguise for us. These questions are his Gupt Ashirvad. This is a secret Ashirvad that he has given to us, which is to say these are questions which are in front of us. We have to answer those questions. We have to live up to that image of what Anna would like a political party to do. So it's good that we are being tested. It's good that we are being tested harshly. And it's good that we are being questioned by someone who has become a symbol of probity. So it's actually a blessing for our party. That's how I see it. On party finance, Anand bhai has already mentioned the reality. In a sense, what he said can be summarized to say that there is simultaneously too much money in politics and too little money in politics. There is too much money in politics where we get to see it. Newspapers, headlines, big people, Madhu Koda, A Raja, and so on. There is too much politics. But actually, believe me, for 95% of political workers in India, there is simply no money. And stories of political workers who have just given away their life do this activity called politics, which they thought was nation building, and who got nothing. In fact, I wrote an article once saying that, like in Delhi, there is this tribute to the unnamed soldier. I said there should also be a tribute to that unknown political worker. There should be a statue without a face. There should be a jhola on his shoulder. And in that jhola, you can put maybe one book and tuberculosis medicine. Because so many political workers died of TB. No, they did not have money to buy the medicine. And this is not a story of the past. I can tell you, as someone who's, apart from doing the stuff on television and writing articles, I've spent 30 years traveling this country. And I can offhand name you dozens of political workers who sacrificed everything in their life. We don't get to know them because they never make it to the front pages. Just last week, before I left Delhi, my colleagues from Haryana said, there's this great worker, this boy does enormous work, he's now been made district chairman of our party. But he doesn't have money to, when we call him from this district to the next district, he does not have the bus fare to go there. And he's constrained because of that. So I called him and said, how much would it take for you to be able to do your political work unconstrained, not worried about money? And he thought, and they had said you have to call him because he would not have his phone charged. So you see, he thought and thought. At the end of the 10-minute conversation, he said, "Mahine ka 3,000 rupees mil jaye, to bas I would be able to do all my political activity." Less than $100 here is enough for a political worker to be able to do his political work in a meaningful way. And this is the amount that Indian middle class, I'm not speaking of here in dollars because that's a conversion problem, but in India today, so many of people who call themselves middle class would spend that much money on one dinner. So there is a real serious dearth of white money in politics. And some white money has to be poured into politics. Because while we keep talking about the problem of ceiling, how to put ceiling on too much black money, all of us conveniently ignore the question of the floor. How to ensure that there is some minimal amount of white money in politics. That's not directly a response to your question. Your question was, how do parties finance themselves? All of us know how they finance themselves. And the question is, how should they finance? How can a decent, good party finance itself in ways which are transparent? We are trying to be transparent. What is now called crowdsourcing. Trying to get large number of people to give small amounts is a democratic way for a political organization to survive. That's one thing we are trying desperately. On governance structure of the party, you got it absolutely right. The idea is to have it a bottom up. So not only do we want a country where decisions are taken at the lowest level, we're trying to do the same in our party. Of bombastic about it, we're trying. It still is a party which get created in Delhi. So suddenly the party cannot become bottoms up tomorrow because we don't have village units right now. So we thought we'll begin with district. District level units will elect state level things and they will in turn create the lower units. So we hope to become bottom up, but it's a nice slogan, but to actually be able to become a party which is where decisions are taken at the bottom would be a huge challenge. In ours is one party where we have 50% positions reserved for women at the primary unit of the party. Now, doing it in the constitution is easy. Actually having a party where 50% leadership comes from women is going to be a huge challenge for us. So these are things we have to think about. To suggest that actually it's the other way around. It is the revival of the conscience of the ordinary people of this country which has given birth to Aadmi Party. It is not the other way around. The only thing we can do really, politics must be more modest than it usually is. Politics is created by society. Politics doesn't invent societies. Somehow, some ways, ordinary people of this country stood up and said enough is enough. And that gave birth to this tiny thing called Aadmi Party. What we can do is to make sure that this little instrument that they have created does not wither away, does not get spoiled, does not get useless. So in the last instance, that is, and I mean, let me just put it different. It is not in our hand to create conscience in the country, but it is in our hands to destroy the hope. And what we are struggling to do is to ensure that we do not destroy the hope that has suddenly come up. So in a sense, I really feel every day, Anand, by all these months, every day I get up both with a sense of what a big opportunity it is and how small we are in the face of this large opportunity. So it is a challenge. What we can do is to destroy it. And this constant sense of being custodian of a hope and not destroying it, that's a challenge. That's what we are struggling to do. Candidates, we have devised some system, and basically the essence of the system is this, that we would make the names public and we would invite public to scrutinize. There's nothing in democracies which is better than public scrutiny. No amount of CBI, no amount of secret investigation can get you the information that ordinary people can give you if you just make the name public. The problem in these big parties is that suddenly someone walks in with a ticket and there's nothing you can do about it. If only the names were, so what we are going to do is to make those names public and invite public objections. We think that's good enough a check. Why are laws not implemented properly? It's a long sociology of law question. I'll simply say 2 or 3 things. One, half the laws are never meant to be implemented. They are meant to be kept in books and be nicely there. Those who make it know it, that they are just being written for that purpose. Second, there are laws which would make the life of lawmakers very difficult. So while someone may have meant them to be implemented, because those who are meant to implement those laws stand to lose from them, so those laws are not implemented. And then of course there are other questions of how the law relates to social norms and so on and so forth. That's a very long discussion.
Has to be seen with 2 different lenses. One is an assumption that India has become a sovereign country, and as citizens of India, we have been given an opportunity of come out of the colonial darkness. But then there is a limited gain. There is another stage of decolonization where these provinces were created with certain constraints. And Aam Aadmi Party is considering this question of suggesting to the country that we had a reorganization of the country to get back to the pre-colonial autonomy and confidence by creating one province on the basis of one language, except in the Hindi region. Now, the time has come that even for non-Hindi region, one language and more provinces should be considered, so that Telangana, Vidarbha, Bundelkhand, and few other burning questions can be created. The second thing is that passion for India is there, but it is not really at that point of critical do or die situation as it is in case of Telangana. These people who are working day in and day out against variety of things are for India's revival, whether it is the environment movement, gender justice movement, communal harmony movement, social justice movement against casteism, and some of the people who are dying for right to information related activism, they are dying for India. Arvind Kejriwal had this Bijli Pani thing for India, Anna ji is doing for India. Or there are many more people. But yes, India as a tangible category, tangible object of worship or sacrifice is really pushed back. We have priority for the leader, then for the community, then for the priority, for the party, then for the region, then nation. It is the other way around if you want Indian democracy to grow. India as a unit of my identity is to be restored with due gravity and due sincerity. And I said that most of the questions are being fragmented into regional patterns and regional solutions, and they are necessary because that's how democracy will become more federalized, more decentralized. But at the moment, India is discounted. As I said, even the major political parties don't consider the map of India, whether it is Congress or BJP. They are focusing on certain pockets of influence. And there are certain other parties which are otherwise internationalists, but they're focusing on Bengal and Kerala. And there are other parties which are Samajwadi or Bahujan Samajwadi, Ambedkarwadi and Lohiawadi, but they don't want to go beyond their pocket of vote bank. So this is something where Aam Aadmi Party will be changing the discourse of democracy, because we are asking that, you start first of all at the scale of India. And we are feeling very diffident that we have only units in 350 districts out of 500 and 650 districts. There are political parties who don't have units in more than 2 or 3 provinces of the country. And they have become national parties because of the electoral system. So the scale has to be changed. One of the problems was that the scale of politics got reduced to my area of influence. And that has created diminishing and devaluating the Indian agenda. And that's why he was saying that the idea of India for 21st century needs a second look, a second definition. And by definition, if you are not working for India, then no matter what kind of your claims are, we don't care for you. You are not serving the cause of India. You may be serving cause of your community, cause of your region, cause of your religion, but not cause of India. And then this new Indian is not going to accept it, because we have to be in the game at the global level. And at the global level, the idea of India becomes irreducible. Either it is working for us or it's not working for us.
Neither you can form a government, now you can sit in opposition. Yeah, we'll work it out.
I was talking to a couple of people here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
And please continue your blessing for them.
We are with you. Thank
I
you.
was talking to a couple of people here about Aam Aadmi Party, and they had 2 questions, which seem to be very legitimate to me. So, what answers do you have for a question that Kejriwal and Anna Hazare both want a Jan Lokpal bill, which in their terms, is it not the blackmailing the constitution? Is it not the questioning the constitution, because they are asking a Jan Lokpal bill on their terms? This is first question. And the second question is, Arvind Kejriwal or Aam Aadmi Party is it is actually questioning not only the system, it wants to take the system of corruption head on. So is it possible to take the corrupted system head on and succeed if given power? Is it possible to remove the corruption altogether with the roots if given power, if you are taking head on? Is it practical to take head on with the corrupt system? Thank you.
Saying that it blackmails the constitution is a somewhat odd thing. If they had said blackmailing the government, I could still understand.
The constitution, who has made the constitution? We say the constitution, we the people. Sovereignty is the word which was used sometimes. Now it's sovereignty in our country does not lie with the parliament. Sovereignty lies with the people. And in the last instance, democracy is democracy, where institutions which are meant to govern according to the wishes of the people. So, any movement that wishes to wishes to pressurize government on behalf of the people is not only not doing disservice, I would say it is actually doing the highest possible service for democracy. And if you look at the record of democracy all over the world, you see, tiny questions are settled in committee rooms, somewhat big questions are settled in parliaments. But some of the biggest questions in democracies all over the world, in the history of democracy, have always been settled on the street. Some of the biggest because contestations are absolutely vital to democracy. And those who do not want people to take part in asking for laws and legislations are in a sense, they probably want democracy minus the people. So I would really want to urge everyone that people wanting to pressurize the legislature to pass some legislation is in the highest spirit of democracy. This is how it ought to be. It is not good for legislatures to simply sit, have a little consultation and pass things. For example, the current discussion about land acquisition bill, which is a very major thing happening in the country. I would say, as you know, the bill has been debated, parliamentary committee made suggestions, the Cabinet of India rejected all those suggestions. Basically, a land acquisition bill is being passed currently after the government made some decent noises. After that, companies, private lobbies, builders came in and said, you are going to increase our cost. Please don't do that. We can't afford that much of money. So, the legislation which is not in the interest of the people, of farmers, of ordinary people of this country will be passed by the parliament. In that case, it would be highest service to democracy if someone were to mobilize 1 lakh farmers and sit on the streets of Delhi and say, you cannot pass this act. That land legislation, land acquisition has to be with people's approval. So I really think this is the spirit of constitution. Otherwise, our constitution makers need not have said, we the people of India give to ourselves this constitution. On the other question of whether it is possible to take it head on and eliminate corruption, if someone believes that only one act will eliminate corruption from the country, that is clearly an unreasonable expectation. That is not going to happen. And if someone thinks that within 2 or 3 years all forms of corruption can be eliminated from the country, we know this doesn't happen. The USA used to be a very, very corrupt system. Even today, there's a good deal of corruption in this system. But if you hear something called machine politics in Chicago in the late 19th century, basically it was exactly the system which practices in Jharkhand today. This was practiced in the US in the 19th century. It was eliminated. It was finished. And how was it finished? It was finished precisely by people rising against it, followed by a series of legislations which made it impossible for politicians to conduct business like usual. So yes, if we were to have a Lokpal-like bill, if we were to have investigative agencies which are independent, if we were to have strict laws and rules about conflict of interest, then yes, it would reduce substantially the incentives of people at the top to be corrupt. And once you do something to corruption at the top, then it has a spiral effect. Then that person will go and not permit corruption at lower levels. So yes, corruption will not dramatically finish in the country overnight. But if there is at all any way to take on corruption, it is head-on. That's the only route available. There is simply no other route available.
People not paying their taxes is created by tax evasion and a whole system of some kind of unfair play, oligopoly as we call it, and it was supposed to be tackled by liberalization and change the rules of the game, allow new players, and we did see some changes Ajim Premji became a possibility, Narayan Murthy became a possibility. But then there was also this Satyam phenomena and A. Raja phenomena. I quoted Ratan Tata only to confirm that so far it was the complaint of the radicals, socialists, communists, left-wing congressmen, to say that this system is suffering with crony capitalism. And we had examples of Birla and Tata, and then later on Ambani and Sahara and others. Now Tata himself is complaining about it. That means that it is hurting even that class which was supposed to grow out on the basis of this system of patronage and support by the ruling party, and therefore this is not working. Idea was that we will have liberalization, which will create level playing field, increase competition, efficiency, technological innovations, variety of other things, and we'll be really having a consumer sovereignty. No, it didn't happen, and it's not going to happen. If 20 years has not created that possibility with change of government, first NDA, later on UPA 1, UPA 2, what is the other possibility of improvement? It's going to degenerate further. That's why I said. But the contribution of private profit-based corporations is written all over the walls of India and America. Look at the whole system in America. It's much more robust, much more mature, much more institutionally in favor of entrepreneurial initiatives. And still America is begging for minimum wages. Barack Obama is taking a left-wing turn. They are going back to economic nationalism. So if America can't afford it, India, with such a large backlog of underdevelopment and poverty, cannot afford it. We have to have an active state, and more than that, active social movement for justice as well as progress. I mean, we are not saying that we distribute poverty. No, we are saying that we have to increase our productive apparatus also. Our energy policy has to be more efficient. But to hope that market forces will generate it was given a chance, and that was long enough, 20 years. And we are again back to square one, according to Ratan Tata. We were never going to be there, according to our economists who are working with Aadmi Party, Arun Kumar and Sunanda Sen and many others. They were never under any illusion, but there were some people. And we said, let us give it a chance. It has failed.
For AAP. Big clap. Sumanji.
I am from New Jersey, and I am here with a few of my volunteers, Deepak ji and Jayesh ji, and my wife, Kalpana. She is also very active, and my two kids. And it was a great opportunity to interact with Dr. Anand Kumar and Professor Yadav, definitely. And we are very actively involved in New Jersey for last almost 2.5 years with Anna's IAC movement, and for last 3-4 months for Aam Aadmi Party. And few things we have in mind is, or we keep on doing, is weekly meetings. We try to meet every week on Oak Tree Road in Addison, wearing this cap. So people, you don't have to say a single word, when you see this, it's understood. And people approach us definitely. I go to Costco, Walmart, this is what I have, and people just come to me and say, good job, or keep on doing, or I want to do something. And one of the great help we can do from here is funding, definitely. Fortunately, we are at the right place at the right time, and these people are definitely right place at the right time. So funding is a great help we can do. And we have been actively doing helping Aam Aadmi Party in India with phone campaign or their online work, like some email accounts or anything management we can do. And if anybody is interested, they are most welcome, and you can do it from anywhere you are in the world, because everybody is connected through the internet, and we do connect through phone calls or Google Docs and interact with having phone meetings. So feel free to contact anybody with a cap. So that's all I have to say, and I will give it to Ravi. Thank you so much.
Because Raviji asked me, so I have to talk something. So same as all other volunteers, we started this 2.5 years back when Anna started that movement from Ramlila Maidan. And as entire India got the imaginations, Anna caught the imagination of the entire India, so we started the same movement in Boston. And also, as all you know, like Boston is a city of university, Harvard, MIT, and all the intellectuals, scholars from India, they are in Boston. So we tried to contact them, and we organized a lot of events in Harvard and MIT, and me and one of my friend. So we tried to contact each of those scholars and organize events in MIT and Harvard, outside the Harvard also. And that was the advantage when I got in contact with Dr. Anand, because Dr. Anand was in Boston. So it was an opportunity. And in the front, like what we are doing and what we are planning to do in the future. So always like Dr. Anand or Professor Yogendra organize events, big events in MIT and Harvard, and send a global message through different media like social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. So I keep making all those videos and upload the videos to Aam Aadmi Party Boston Facebook page, on the Aam Aadmi Party India Global page also. So if you want to listen more about Aam Aadmi Party through the member of Aam Aadmi Party like Dr. Anand and Professor Yogendra, just go to join those Facebook page and you'll get all those messages. Thanks everyone joining us. Thanks.
The reason I took the microphone is just want to stress a couple of points which I myself learned. First, like, we have a gathering here, you all have come, we want to change. But what the unique thing during the Anna Hazare movement, when me and Himanshu Bhai, we started working, and there were like around 200 people in New Jersey, everybody participated, everybody was very enthusiastic. But Himanshu Bhai started doing something very different and something very unique, which requires a little bit of courage. He started wearing this cap to his office. Now in office, the Americans, the white people, they were surprised, what kind of weird cap is this? So they started inquiring about it. Then he started explaining, this is what is happening in India, this cap represents that, and there is a guy sitting on the fast, this old man, 73 years old man. And they were surprised what removing corruption has to do with sitting on a fast. Now this is a unique thing about our country. We understand that connection which these people cannot understand. So raising the awareness, by just saying about awareness does not matter. After 65 years, this cap has again become the symbol of hope. This cap has again become the symbol of change. So please wear this cap. And another thing which happens with this cap is, when I wear this cap, I have a small problem with myself. I cannot lie, I cannot do idiotic things, I have to respect the cap, and I have to follow the rules. So it brings me in the system. That's why I'm saying wearing the cap, wherever you can go, it really creates that symbol. Like today, there is an India fair in New Jersey. Me, Himanshu Bhai, Jayesh Bhai, we did nothing because they don't allow any flyers by rule. We just wore the cap and walked around. People walked to us. Hey, what are you doing? What's it about? Who is Arvind Kejriwal? What is he doing? Oh, very good, very good, very good. See, this is what it will do. This is the kind of difference we need to make. In US, everybody asks me, what can I do? What kind of difference I can make? I'm here. This is what you can do. This is all we can do. Baba, change is possible. होता है वो. करना पड़ता है, अपने आप नहीं होता है. So change हो रहा है. Change is coming. It will be tomorrow morning we wake up, change will not be there. There's a process, as Anandji very well explained. So we just have to go through it. So wear the cap, tell people about what we are doing. That is, I think, the best contribution as an NRIs we can make from here. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to say a few words, please feel free. I mean, please. Say a few words. Anybody?